the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is EdTech, the monthly look at the education space for the AV industry. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us this month to talk about that very thing, Mr. Mike Tomei from Tomei AV. How are you, sir?
Good, Tim. Doing really well, thanks.
Also with us is Ernie Bailey. Ernie is from the beautiful state of Arkansas at UAMS. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Enjoying beautiful spring weather right now.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm just north of Ernie in St. Louis, so we typically have something similar of weather. Also with us is my comic friend, Mr. Bill O'Donnell. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I wish I had your same weather. Unfortunately, I'm hovering in the sub-20s.
Ew.
So that's, well, not 20 below, but it's like 28 degrees right now.
So you are officially freezing.
I would like to say that I believe Mother Nature is drunk.
She probably is. And last but not least, please welcome him. Be nice to him. His name is David Huckleberry from Purdue University. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. And I guess in Indiana, I will probably have all the seasons during the course of this show. So we'll go through all of them.
All right, very good. Just so it's been mentioned, we're recording this on April 5th. Last night, the wonderful UNC Tar Heels lost to Villanova. None of us are represented here. Is that correct? No
Correct.
alma maters, no nothing.
Nope.
All of us have been out since the first round, most likely.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
My school is a D3. Believe me, we never even had a chance.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you go to Hoboken Tech.
Hey. That's Jersey City State. That's Harvard on the Boulevard. But anyway.
Yeah. It was a New Jersey joke, kids. All right, here we go. First and foremost, bright spanking in the afternoon yesterday. Got the word and the news that Milestone AV has acquired Vaddio. If you're not familiar with either company, please stop listening now because this podcast is not for you. So Milestone AV, big company in the AV industry. They own Chief. They own Daylight. They also have a couple other European-centric brands as well. They are based out of Minnesota, or Eden Prairie technically, but basically the Minneapolis area. Vaddio is an exciting company that does a lot of really great innovative things, primarily in the camera control, camera transport market. They have cameras as well. They also were one of the first companies to come out with a professional commercial audio and video converter into USB that lets you use professional grade equipment for soft codecs. Now, before we get started, the way that AVNation works is we try to be as agnostic as possible. Both of these companies are underwriters for AVNation. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to tread lightly here and let you guys do all the talking. That is the story in a nutshell. Mr. Tomei, we'll start with you. What does this mean going forward for both companies?
I think it was a huge announcement. I'm a big fan of both companies. I use products from Milestone and Vaddio, and I think it's a huge story. Vaddio makes really nice products. A lot of people talk about how they can be on the expensive side of things, but their AV bridge alone is worth it to me. I like putting those everywhere now. And when you compare the price of that to like conventional video conferencing codecs, it's considerably cheaper, and seems to be the way most people are going. So I think this is huge news. The one thing that the first thing I thought of is if you've ever read a Vaddio instruction manual, they're real quirky. They throw in a lot of jokes in there, yes. And they're fun to read. So hopefully they don't lose that, because that's always exciting to read a Vaddio manual. But yeah, I think it's huge news. I was actually really surprised to hear it. So.
All right, Mr. Bailey, we'll get you on this. What do you think of this merger or this acquisition? Technically, is what it is.
I want to agree with Mike. I like both companies. I'm hoping that we'll see an influx of R&D money into Vaddio. I like what they do. They're easy to work with. We had some problems with a software company we were working with quit accepting motion JPEG as their video source.
Yeah.
And we had just installed about a dozen AV bridges to bring our Vaddio HD cameras and our mixed audio into the soft codecs in this. We called Vaddio, and they said, give me your contact at your software company you're working with. We gave it to them. They called me back 45 minutes later, said, we just shipped them a camera and codec and the AV bridge that you're using so they can make it work again for you. And 6 weeks later, they had a software patch and our system worked again. So, working with a company that's willing to do that is really good. One of the former members of this elite group, when he was working with a university, is now an applications engineer with Vaddio. I like working with them. We, of course, use Chief Daylight products all over the place, so I'm happy with them. I guess, Tim, the biggest concern I have you just lost an underwriter?
Well, you're not the first person to ask that in the last 24 hours. I don't think so. I mean, as luck would have it, it's so we ask our underwriters for a yearly commitment. They're both on different cycles, so we'll have to find out, right? So who knows? It depends on how they do their marketing. I will say Milestone has started to bring everybody under one roof, and I think that's a good idea for them as a company. They still have their individual brands, but they've started to market themselves as Milestone, as a brand, and I think that's a good idea. So we'll see. And thank you very much, Ernie. Ernie referred to this very show as Elite. I'm not sure it is, but you guys are. And our buddy Mike Brandis, when he was at West Palm, I believe was the name of the university before he went on to Vaddio. All right, Bill, what do you say about this?
Well, it's kind of an interesting move. It is an interesting move. It's good for Milestone. I tend to see this more of them trying to kind of diversify because if you noticed, another company, Peerless, has kind of diversified themselves. They no longer make just bent metal mounts and everything. They've gotten into the AV business as well. The big thing, though, is that Milestone has a lot. They have a pretty good array, and much like Ernie, I'm hoping that they pump some more money into the R&D. Particularly, I could see it where Chief would start making things where, oh yeah, here's a all-in-one, here's our wall mount that also, we now have a custom mount bracket that will also fit in, your little AV bridge or one of their smaller products, so that you can have kind of an all-in-one. Obviously they're not making the displays, but when you make everything else, it's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you go for this? Yeah. So I'm actually very happy with that. If anything, I'm actually kind of curious as to how Mr. Brandis is taking all this and everything. Who knows? Maybe he's he's going to end up going from software engineering to mechanical engineering. I don't know.
That would be very interesting. That's all I'll say about that. Mr. Huckleberry, your first shot at the plate. What do you think about this?
All right, here we go. I guess I looked at it from kind of the standpoint I look at all the mergers of. It gets us closer to being able to deal with fewer sources. We have Milestone equipment, we have Vaddio equipment across the campus, so as they start to merge those products and merge the support for it, it makes it a lot easier as we bring in new staff to be able to support similar interfaces. And we work a lot with the PTZ cameras from Vaddio, and we've had some small issues in the past of maybe some of the controls of making the PTZ camera, especially we use some of the USB ones that you talked about. So as the R&D ramps up on that, we'll be able to see that come from one source rather than two, and some of the things that we do in various locations, we won't have to have different code for different locations. So that's my hope of any merger, and usually in this area.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Very good thoughts. One thing is we did an interview with Scott Gill, the CEO of Milestone. You can go to the website and check it out, AVNation.tv. and we asked him about that very thing, about the kind of merging together. Milestone has a setup with for their reps and their representatives. Most of them are direct employees, right? Where you have a couple different styles of reps in the industry. There's basically two, and I'll simplify it. There are more, I'm sure, but one is you work directly with the company, for the company, right? So there are our buddy Mark Coxon is a Milestone employee. He reps Daylight. Then you have the independent rep route, right? Where I know that Vaddio currently is independently repped Sapphire Marketing, Marla Suttenberg. They rep Vaddio in the Northeast. So it'll be interesting to see how that all kind of shakes out and plays out in the coming months, to see exactly how they go to market with some of those. So, all right, next up is Projectors, and a young up-and-coming man by the name of Bill O'Donnell wrote this for AV Network. What, are you going to qualify something before I get into this?
No,
Okay,
I'm
good.
quite proud of it, and I'm quite happy to have Margot as my editor. Anyway,
You shouldn't be proud of this. Margot did an awful lot of work on this. 6 essentials of managing higher ed projectors. So Mr. O'Donnell goes through and recommends some things such as standardizing on the manufacturer, end-of-the-year spending is good for lamps, and end menu lockdown. So Ernie, we're going to start with you as the senior member of our little group here. Did Bill get some things right, or did he miss some things?
I think Bill did a very good job putting this together. It sounds like conversations I've had with different people over the years. I will say that we have found number 2 is not always true. Lamps do go bad sitting on the shelf occasionally. Now it's been several years since I've been through that, and that is becoming no longer an issue for us, because we've decided that unless it's a very special purchase, our projectors will not take lamps anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing laser projectors coming into the mainstream, but as far as, what he says, I love, his organized approach to it, and he covers the main points you need to think about when you're putting in multiple projectors on a campus, standardizing on a manufacturer. And, like you said, there's always debates on who's the best. What I've found is that doesn't really depend on the manufacturer as much as it does on your service in your area. There have been times we've been real crazy about a certain brand, and I'll talk to people in another market. They say, but when they go down, you can't get them fixed. And I said, well, that's what I like. When they go down, I can get them fixed. And then they'll mention another brand, and I'll say, well, that's the one I never can get service on. So you need a good support network for whatever manufacturer you're going with. Yes, all of our projectors are networked. We're trying to do as little RS-232 connection as we have to. We're sticking with IP wherever we can. Locking down the menus where they have a volume and an input button is our preference, if that much. But I think it's a very good article, a good blog. It's concise, it's to the point, it's not dragging on. Bill, I think you did a very good job.
I wasn't asking you to compliment him. Good.
No, it doesn't matter. The ego's already slowly expanding.
David, what are some things that maybe we could add to the list then?
That you could add to the list, probably a good training program. I kind of guess I'm going to show my my area that I usually work in. They always talk about support. But one of the things you get out of having the standardized manufacturer is that end user support, being able to give them some kind of documentation, or we use videos a lot. I actually had a question though about number 3. I've heard you talk in previous about the video being carried over the IP network. Is anybody starting to consider carrying your video over a different network, a different wired network than what you carry, like a wireless access point, or are you just going to kind of bank on the fact that the AV world is going to do a better job of decreasing bandwidth that it takes to carry video over? Do I get to ask questions, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely you do.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We do not run video over IP unless it's in a closed system in a room. The network engineers on the other side of the wall with me would shoot me if I started doing that. Start out with. So that's not.
That's exactly why I ask. I think I hear them cocking their guns from time to time.
Yeah, it's a matter of you have to kind of speak your language, especially because I'll make this joke. One of the only reasons that my IT our network admins like me is because they're like, oh, he has a CCNA video, and I go, I got that a number of years ago, and that was when Cisco first acquired Tamberg, and it was pretty much memorizing their product line, but it doesn't matter. They're like, oh yeah, no, that's a whole thing. But
you have the badge. That's what you need.
Yeah, no, they're like, oh, he has a CCNA. Oh yeah, all right, he can talk our language. But hey, welcome to William Patterson. Anyway, when it comes to video over IP, I as I say, there's still a couple of things that are still kind of I'm gonna say in beta mode right now, mostly in that. How do you when it comes to voice over IP, yeah, you can, as I say, you have a certain amount of jitter and lag and everything like that, and you have allowed acceptable lag times with those and everything. You actually, it's actually set and established. I don't think that's been set in video. If it has, I haven't seen any of the standards or accepted practices yet. And on top of that, just right now, the video, as I say, from a bandwidth perspective, it's just, doing actual video over IP is still, very much a bandwidth hog. So.
All right, Mr. Tomei.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so much easier to set up your own little video network if you're going to. I mean, other than obvious video over IP, like streaming services, things like that, where it needs to be on the main network. It's so much easier to set up your own network. I've never really seen a robust enough network where the network engineers say, yeah, throw all your video on here, no problem. And, usually it's a debate.
Yeah, in fact, the closest we have is we started playing around with the Kramer Vias, and we actually like the immersive pods, the Solstice pods. And even then, our network folks are like, oh, yeah, no, here, we literally cut you out a separate VLAN. I'm like, well, why can't you just have it on the regular network? They're like, yeah, we made you a separate VLAN. Be happy we did that.
But you're like, I have a CCNA. You should listen to me.
Yeah, no, that's that one. They go, no, that's security. No.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, because I'm actually going to disagree with the three smartest guys that I know when it comes to this stuff. Is
Paul Zealy?
Yes, Paul Zealy. Paul Zealy is a very smart network guy who works for AMX by Harman, so that's where that joke is. Isn't things like, speaking of AMX, SVSI or AVB or even HD-based T to a certain extent, even though that's more point-to-point. Crestron's DM, even though again that's based on HD-based T or their streaming output device. Isn't stuff like that the way that they're doing the algorithms and they're doing the compression? Can't that live on the network, or is it still a conversation with the IT folks that no, you are separate, you have to have your own private thing?
We are streaming certain signals, major events, things like that on campus and off campus across the network. But as far as running all of our video from a centralized location across the network, I think that would be a completely different story.
Okay.
But yes, we do have, and we're allocated so much bandwidth. We can fill up whatever they'll give us. With our streaming. Yes, we put a streaming output card in all of our lecture halls and large rooms, and are wondering why we haven't been putting it in the medium-sized rooms now. If we got card slots, we're looking at, can we find the money for the output card?
Okay. All right, I'm just curious. I'm looking at more and more video topologies and codecs and standards. And we were introduced to AptoVision at ISE this year, and looking at them, and they're doing 4K, over they're getting it down to 9 gig, and I understand that's not for this. But I'm looking at all these going, okay, you've got SVSI, you've got all these other folks that are doing some interesting things. I'm curious as to when it may eventually happen, or if it'll always, they'll always say, you guys over there in the corner. So.
Oh no, I have a way where it's still going to be solved, Tim. I'll say it in one word: fiber.
Yes, that is the ultimate solver of everything, and ultimately none. So, all right. BenQ interactive classroom projector boasts shortest throw ratio. This is not necessarily about the BenQ, even though congratulations to them for having the shortest throw ratio. Although it's a WXGA, which is my biggest issue with it. This is from Commercial Integrator. Bill, we'll start with you on this. Where are we at when it comes to short throw projectors? Because they came out in the market and they were like, they were the latest, greatest things. The professors don't have to have the light shining in their eyes and this, that, and the other. They were limited by certain the sizes of the screens. I think when they first came out, the top end was either 80 or 100 inch diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at in this market? Are we getting to the point of maturity with it, or are we moving into the realm of they're on their way out?
Well, I'll say this from my own perspective. We are trying to get away. The only folks that are embracing it are probably our College of Ed folks, and that's because in their case they're also still using smartboards and everything, which is fine because that's that's primarily we're doing K through 12 teaching, and they're doing K through 12 environments, which is fine. But for me, like as I say, I was dealing with a replacement from hell the other day, and the fact that there was a separate short throw projector that was so custom that the mount shipped from NEC itself, to which I said, that's amazing. I didn't know NEC made projector mounts. And it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get the idea of it and everything, but the other thing too is that I didn't look at the particular specs of the BenQs, but most of the short throw projectors I've seen probably top out about 3,000 or around 3,000 lumens or so. So you still need some sort of shading control or lighting control for to get a decent picture out of the thing. Whereas most of the regular projectors we have are in the 5 to 6K lumen range and everything. So, it's nice, but we're trying to get away from it.
All right, Mr. Ernie, your thoughts on short throws?
Well, I agree with Bill. Usually we see them more in the K-12 market. We do have some specific applications here on campus where we need short throw, just because of the we have some older buildings and there's no way to get a projector where you need it, or things like that. I'm actually looking at Sony's new ultra short throw 4K as a solution for one room, because there are chandeliers in the way. They're short chandeliers, but they're blocking the light path we need for the projector, and the aesthetic committee will not allow us to touch the lights. So, I'm giving them the option, you have a $50,000 projector, or we put a $15,000 projector in and take down your light.
Well, couldn't you just shorten the chain on the light? Is it?
It's 4 chains, and, we can maybe knock 4 or 5 inches off of it.
Well,
There's 3 of them in the room.
Work with the aesthetic committee, Ernie. They're.
I'm willing to work with them, but they don't want to work with
important people.
Yeah, as I say, Ernie's slowly trying to work in his brass smithing business and everything.
Yes.
He's got to raise the chains.
Yeah, I've actually ran into that same committee at my old school, so I understand the pain.
Yeah.
So I'm well aware. We have a colonial age building that everyone looks and goes and says, oh, we want to put AV in here, and I'm going, no, I don't ever want to do that.
That's what happens when George Washington went to your school. All right, David, what do you think about short throws?
I think it's outside of the obvious K-12 application in the College of Ed, just because you want them to get practice using what they're going to be using when they go out. I think For the most part, Purdue, anything under 90 inches, we're usually using flat screen displays now. So we're trying to get away from projectors as much as possible, except for those few, like they mentioned, areas. So I don't think there's necessarily a long-term huge market for the short throws. I used them when they first came out with the smart boards. They were great for that because it got away from the instructor standing in front of the light and throwing shadows. So I still see there's probably some uses for it, but I see more flat panels, especially as they get cheaper and cheaper. It would be a better long-term solution.
Yep. All right, Mr. Tomei, you've got the last word on this one.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree with what everybody else said. It's they have their place. Obviously, smart boards, they're needed, and those unique installation situations. But I rarely spec short throws outside of those unique cases. Like Bill said, they're usually topping out just above 3,000 lumens, and they're just not strong enough, and you're not going to get a large enough image out of them usually. So I think they have their place, but I'm not really speccing a lot of them.
All right, very good. All right, guys, we'll wrap up here with kind of an overarching look at the design phase. And this one was written by our very good friend Mike Tomei. So we're just going to tear this article apart for him. See what happens, David, is you get on the show and you get to write things, and then we get to tear it apart.
There you go.
Don't worry, I've got other ones coming up too.
Oh, good. I need more fodder. In all seriousness, Mike's been writing for Campus Technology, and how many articles are you doing for this? How many pages is this?
Well, so I have a monthly column now with them, but this happens to be part 2 of maybe like 6. So there's going to be 5 or 6 in this series. So yeah, I'm going through. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going through every phase of AV construction or installation projects, and really kind of breaking down each phase, and then diving a little deeper into the deliverables that are part of each phase. And a lot of people that work in AV support don't really know how to work with architects or construction trades when you have those large design, bid, build projects. So that's really what I'm focusing on. My first article was in February, so I talked about all the different stakeholders that could be part of AV installation projects. So I talked about the owner's team, the design team, and all the contractors that could be involved in these projects. And then I also described the differences between design, bid, build projects and design, build projects, which most people are used to the design, build projects. In my second article, I start really getting into the specific phases. I talked about what I called the administrative phase, just getting the project started, getting budgets approved, and then forming the design team. And then I really start diving into the schematic design phase, which a lot of people kind of glance over on these big projects, but I really stress the importance of writing a program report, an opinion of probable cost, getting that all approved by all the different stakeholders so you really start your project off on the right foot. So those were the first 2 articles that I've written, and they're coming out every month in Campus Technology, and then actually at Infocom, I'm going to be teaching a seminar that's pretty similar to this. We're going to go through all the phases of AV construction project or installation projects, and really dive deeper into each phase. And that's going to be on Wednesday morning of at Infocom this year.
All right. What times and what's the title of it so people can sign up for it?
Yep. So the class number is IS02, and I believe it's called a phased approach to classroom AV design, if I'm recalling correctly.
Very cool.
So it's going to be Wednesday, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. So.
You evil man.
Yeah. So that's going to be an early one, but I think it's really going to be beneficial. I know when I worked on the higher ed AV support end of things, those first few projects where it's a design, bid, build project, you're working with an architect and a full design team, a full team of contractors, it can be tough to really navigate those projects. There's a lot of different phases and stages and deliverables that go into those projects, and it can really get disorganized if you really don't follow a set kind of plan for those projects. So that's really what I'm trying to show everybody, that you can put together a plan for these projects and really have it laid out nicely.
Hey, Mike, actually, I do have a question for you regarding that.
Yeah.
When it comes to these, is this primarily based for more new construction, or is it for renovations? Because you know probably as well as I do, new construction, things can kind of move along, but renovations, it's like, for example, for us, I believe we just got done with asbestos abatement with one of our buildings that may have been built back in the 60s or so, and they may have found some additional 10,000 square feet of surprises. So do you guys, as I say, is there a difference with that one, or is it just really more of you're kind of using more broad strokes you can paint a barn with?
Yeah, I'm using broad strokes. So typically, what I'm writing about is going to apply to new construction, design, bid, build. Kind of new construction will take that form. Renovation, yeah, a lot of schools kind of piece out the renovation projects a little bit, and they might not have architects involved. They might be doing some of that coordination on their own. So not all of it will pertain to every project, but I really try to take broad strokes and look at this from a perspective of a pretty large new construction project. And I talk about every aspect and every deliverable that might go into that, and every phase that kind of plays into that.
Well, and actually, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do the article, is because Ernie does actually most of the renovations, and I've only been involved in one that Ernie did. But you guys did go through a consultant to do at least the renovations that you and I went through. How did that differ from doing it with a new build or new construction?
Well, like everyone said, it's completely different with a new build. You may bring, we would probably try to bring in a consultant. We did last time. It's been about 10 years since we built our last education building, and we did bring in a consultant, and they worked with us on the overall design, keeping, pretty much going through what Mike has here in his article, going through it step by step, making sure that we had all the right stuff. For the renovation that we've done, the one where you worked on, where we did bring a consultant in, that was one of those, we did the design work in-house. We thought we did a good job with it. We put it out to bid, and it came in 3 times higher than what we thought. So at that point, we hired a consultant. Mr. Tomei was not a consultant at the time. This was about.
Where were you?
This was a few years ago. But we met with the consultant, gave him what we had put out, told him what we wanted, and he said, "Well, everything you want is in here, but you don't have any specifics." He said, "You've left too much open-ended," and he tightened up pretty much, just and spelled out exactly what we wanted. We went from a 25-page document to a 95-page document. But we told them exactly what we, instead of saying we want the control system to control all features on these devices, we now spelled out each device, each part that we wanted controlled. And, so we put it back out to bid, and it actually came in just under what we had initially budgeted. We got everything that we thought we were asking for the first time. But that's where we go to using a consultant, is to help us make sure that we're asking in the right way, to talk, especially when we're talking to other trades as well as the AV people. Yeah. I did another in-house design. I sent my drawings to the same consultant and said, this is what I'm wanting, this is what I'm putting out. Well, he didn't like the color code of my wires. That was the only issue he had with the plan that I put together. Okay? I said, if that's your biggest complaint in my drawings is, I'm not using green in the right way, then I'm going to put it out the way I've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, that right there is not this is not commercial for Mike or any other consultant, but that right there is the value of consultants, and Ernie actually helped me see that is the fact that they cut their they cut the overall cost by
Right.
2/3, right?
Or they make sure that we did, like I said, when the consultant came back with those comments, I was able to say to my boss, look, we've put together a good package, it's ready to go out. It was worth spending the $6,000 to have the paperwork reviewed.
Yep, absolutely. All right, David, any thoughts on this one way or the other?
Yeah, when I read the article, it's good to have documents like that and lay them out with the timeline. We're in the process of building an active learning center that'll come available in summer of next 17. And what was interesting was as we got the stakeholders in 2 years ago when we started the plan process, they all want to jump to the AV in the room right away. And I think that was good to have a document like that that says there'll be a point in time when we get to that phase. And it's not 2 years out because who knows what's going to be available when the time comes to actually put the technology in this room. You kind of build it for a little bit of future proofing of what you are capable of handling. Get your magic ball and look out there of what you think is going to be coming. But I think we lost a lot of hours in the open sessions, the commentary sessions of faculty who were just trying to say, this is exactly what I want in the room now. I think that's a good document, and I liked it. I kind of read through it and laid it out based on how our Active Learning Center project has gone, and I thought it was very accurate.
All right, very good. All right, gentlemen, that is going to do it for another month. Mr. Bill O'Donnell, thank you so much, sir. How can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm pretty active. I try to be active on. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I try to be active on LinkedIn, and yeah.
What's your Twitter handle if they want to find you?
It's the original OD.
There we go.
Because there's only one.
Looking for Bill O'Donnell on Twitter.
Hey, I was just say I'm up to 300 followers, I believe.
There we go. I think I have 200, so you're beating me.
Yes.
Mr. Ernie Bailey, thank you so much, sir. And how do people find you?
Well, I've got about 3 followers on Twitter.
There we go.
Me.
Here, I'll find you. I'll bump you up to 4.
I tweet during InfoComm, and that's about it.
There we go.
During the voice, okay?
That was way more information than I needed, Ernie.
That's worth following right there.
Exactly.
But you can find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. All right, very good. Mr. Tomei, sir?
Yeah, easiest way to find me is my website's tomeiav.com. That's TOMEIAV.com. And like I mentioned, I'm teaching at InfoComm this year. 2 classes actually. The one I mentioned pertaining to the articles that I'm writing, and also one on ADA compliance with classroom AV design. Yeah,
very cool.
So both of them are really fitting for higher ed tech or academic technology managers, and I think you can do a search by speaker on the InfoComm site. So just take a look under my name, and both will pop up.
So. Very cool. All right, Mr. Huckleberry, here's your first shot at this. How do people find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and Twitter on at Purdue.com. HUCKATPURDUE. So I guess I'll have to get a new Twitter handle if I ever change jobs. But
right now
that's where you can find me.
Right now it works. So, all right. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me. I typically just grouse about the Bears and the fact that it's baseball season now. So, go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. I mentioned the interview we did with Mr. Gill from Milestone. That's on there. We have a brand new, relatively new, I guess, residential focus show called Resi Week. Obviously, AV Week happens every Friday. So, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been EdTech.